So, I am someone that was born a seer, that was born already tapped in and able to see things. When I say that, I mean I'm able to access different dimensional energies, dimensional frequencies. So, being able to see different dimensional energies that may not have a physical form as far as the 3D realm is concerned, like how I have a human body in this 3D existence. And that's not to say that these dimensional energies that I have encountered or that I can interact with, that's not to say they don't have a body or form, but just not in terms of our understanding within a 3D reality space. Um, and so, yes, I grew up being able to, or I came in rather already being able to access and see dimensional energies. Now, it was something that I thought that everyone could do. So it wasn't something that I went around and I was just like saying, speaking on to people or pointing things out or anything like that when I was a kid, because I just thought it was natural and I thought everyone could do it. It wasn't until I was like, I don't know what age, but I was very young and that I started to like learn that there was a difference with me and other kids or my siblings and other kids. And I think one of the moments was like being on a playground, and I was a kid that was like very deep, and I always felt things very deeply, because as you can imagine, being able to tap into certain dimensional energy is being able to see things on a different scale or frequencies. I was also accessing those energies, like feeling everything. So I would feel things very deeply. Like I would feel like just the emotions of others. Like I would look at a person and I would feel all of these things. I would see things within them, and of course, when I was a kid, I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what was going on at the time. And I don't think it was maybe till I was maybe like 5 or something like that, maybe that my mother started to notice that there was some differences within me. But for the most part, I grew up, most of my siblings did not know that I had these capabilities. At least I don't think so. Because like I said, it wasn't things that I was talking about with them. It was really only things I was talking about with my mother. She seemed to be the one that was like more concerned once I got a certain age, and she was trying to educate herself. But there was a stigma that her and my father had placed on me when I was very young, and that was just to keep that side of myself hush hush, because there was like this stigma that they would put me in a crazy house. So when I started going to school and things of that nature, these weren't things that I was speaking about with kids, but I was definitely like the weird kid, because for me, like I said, I was just someone that always felt things very deeply. And I would look around at others and I would see their faces and their reactions, and they seem to be like always carefree and just like unbothered and unconcerned. And as I was growing up, I wished more that I had more of that, because for me it was like I just couldn't turn it off. I just now that I'm older, I understand what that was all about. But of course, when I was a kid, I didn't have a name for the things that I was going through. I was just going through those things. So, and it wasn't something I could turn off, so I was just always being able to see these different energies or these different entities or beings. Some of them would interact with me. Many of them were friendly. Some of them were not always what they appeared, but that was, something I had to learn later on, as I navigated that whole, that whole realm of whatever existing. But yeah, so it was like I don't want to say it was difficult. I want to say it was just that's just how I grew up, so it was normal. So when I look at it as an adult, I'm like, that's kind of like a bit crazy for a child, because the 3D realm is a school on its own, and we have to like navigate this world and play the game and go to school and get a job and all these responsibilities and things that we have to do and function within this particular reality. But then I was also living a whole different reality that it was like I couldn't really like tell people about. So while I would have to go and do homework or do the normal things that I would have to do whether it was a kid or a teenager or adult, I couldn't tell people that, oh, when I go home at night, I'm battling, or I'm having spiritual warfare, or I'm battling particular entities, or I'm having to learn things in that world as well and learn how to navigate that world, that I'm having beings show up shape shifting as something, appearing as something that they're really not, just to like either siphon my energy or just major things, many things that I've been through. I've had my energy siphoned. I've gone through a lot. I'll just say that, it was, and within that, the realm of energy and navigating these different dimensional energies and frequencies, you know it was a whole school on its own. So I was literally living in two different worlds as I was growing up, and I wasn't telling anybody about it, and I was still like showing up in the world doing what everybody else was doing, still trying to have relationships or friendships, or and do all of these things. But I was going through all of these things in silence that nobody knew about. After a while, it wasn't even things that I was telling my mother. My life just became normal, and how I was navigating it all, because after a while, it wasn't something that, after I was taught to try to suppress it or like not speak about it, it just became natural for me to not speak about it. And then when I would test people as well in my life, like if I made like certain remarks about some of the things that I go through, that different world of reality, I would test people expressions or their body language or their energy. I became very good at like recognizing energy, like reading energy, feeling energy, seeing energy. Like I became like an expert on it, you know, and people's energy would tell me everything that I needed to know. Like I could literally look at a person and I could tell everything about them, like a lot about a person, just by perceiving them and looking at them. Many times too, I didn't things that I didn't even want to know, or I didn't want to see. And I'm right now I'm speaking for people that were more closer to me. Things that I didn't want to see, that I didn't want to know. It used to make me feel uncomfortable, to see these things, because it was like I was looking into them, and it wasn't something I meant to do. So a lot of times I grew up kind of like um shy and a little bit timid, like not wanting to look at people. And that was because when I would look at people, I would see too much. I would absorb too much. And I was absorbing a lot of frequencies. Of course, when I was younger, I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know that's what was going on. But I was literally carrying a lot of energies that did not belong to me. Like I was literally like a conduit, a magnet for absorbing everybody else's like garbage. I would say that just density. I was absorbing a lot of density. So that was basically how that was going. And so even in my life and my relationships with my siblings, it wasn't, I feel like I was like more so I was a people pleaser when I was younger. And then it grew to this space where I became like everybody else's, like, I want to say like light in a sense in the family, where I was uplifting everyone else and I was being more for them that they could ever be for me. Like, it wasn't like it was just like, me sharing my light, or them absorbing my light, is how I look at it now. But it was like, when it came to me, or people really being there for me, it was like nobody really could do that. And then it was also like, and I'm not saying that because I'm healed from that, so I don't blame anyone within the family or anything in my family or anything like that, because that was part of my school, and I'm glad that I went through the things that I went through, so to help me to expand into who I am, who I stand firmly in. But at the same time, it was all of these relationships around me, even the relationships, if I picked up a friendship or a romantic relationship, they were not fulfilling, aspects. It was like I still, I was in these relationships, whether it was family or friendships or romantic partners, where I was not really encompassing all of me. It was like, even when I was getting to a point where I'm learning to love myself and grow into my gifts or appreciate and embrace, it was like the people in my life could not tolerate me, I guess, being my fullness of myself, where it's like you have to dim your light in order to make them feel comfortable. Or if you're within their field or their energy, then because you're vibrating too high, your light starts to expose their shadow mess. And if they're not ready to deal with themselves, then they start to have resentment for you, or they treat you a certain type of way, or it's too much ego. And those were the kind of relationships. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people already understand it and could attest to many experiences like that with that you guys have probably gone through, where you feel like you get it, where you've been in family dynamics where dimming your light to try to make them feel safe or something like that, or just the whole nonsense. But part of this whole journey for me it's been very healing. It's been very freeing, because many of the relationships I've had to, and I didn't really do anything. They just kind of vibrated out of my space. I just chose to love myself and chose to choose myself, and chose what aligns with me, and that's what happens when you continue to shift and you continue to keep vibrating on a high frequency. Those relationships will just naturally vibrate out of your energy or your space, and so that's what has occurred also. But yes, back to the whole process of spiritual gifts and whatnot. So yes, learning how to navigate both worlds was like something that I had to go through, and it started with as a child. Now, there was many intervals throughout my life where I did try to suppress that side of myself, or I did suppress it to certain degrees, but it wasn't something that I could like totally suppress, because things would just keep happening to me, whether I was trying to or not. Like, even like, I know some people in certain communities, like some people want to know, or they try to, train themselves, like how to like astral travel or like experience these otherworldly things. These things were just happening naturally to me. These things was like, it wasn't anything that I was like trying to do. It was just something that just kept happening to me, like, or having entities come to me, or different dimensional beings, or things that were just occurring because I just kept tapping into, because of naturally of my capacity and my path, obviously, but then also too, I was just naturally vibrating and tapping into higher spaces, because also I've been on this consistent path of self mastery and wanting to, like, just basically master my energy, master myself. Like, that's very important to me. So I've always been very spiritual minded, even since I was a child. So that's always been my interest. Like, since I was a child, like, to master myself. That's the only thing that I've ever really truly been entirely deeply passionate about. Now I have other gifts as well. Like, I'm a writer. I'm a creator, period. I make art as well. I can paint very well, and all of these things and these gifts that I have, these array of gifts that I have, they all are like extensions of me, and they are parts of me, and I honor them. But it's nothing like my spiritual gifts. Like, it's nothing like it's nothing like the spiritual gifts that I have, like those things I'm very passionate about, that I feel that all the different aspects of me lights me up, but that lights me up like the most. Like, I don't just like to like master myself also in this life, like to truly master myself on a spiritual level, on every level, is something that has always intrigued me since I was a child. So my makeup and my DNA and my focus and my attention is always, focused in aligned spaces, or I'm always doing inner work, or I live my life not like the average person that I've been around, that I know, that I've experienced, and when you're on this path, I assume you others, because I've yet to meet others like myself just yet and personally, but I know, my tribe is here and coming. But when you're on this path, like, you carry yourself in a certain way. It's certain activities that you do. It's certain things that you think about. It's certain things that you speak, or you write, or you say, or you create, or it's an air about you that you breathe on a day-to-day basis, of how you orchestrate your entire existence in your life when you are devoted to a spiritual path. And I mean, like, a source aligned, embodied, integrated path. So yes, I don't live my life like the average people that I know, and naturally that I have known, and naturally, of course, they had to vibrate out of my experience. So we had to vibrate out of each other's experience, because it's just not a match of frequency. But yes, so within this whole realm of navigating these spiritual energies, and that's just one of my gifts, of being able to see things, being a seer, or tap it into different dimensional frequencies. But it's a very essential gift, because especially because it started since I was a child. So I feel like it's given me a lot of room to grow. Like, there was a lot of things that I've gone through that was not pleasant at all, that I wouldn't want for anyone. But because of the path I'm on, and because of, the wisdom that I can impart on others, that I chose to impart on others, because of the path that I'm walking, these things were essential and, necessary. Most of the things were necessary. And also, even though I've been through a lot of wild things, I've been through a lot of beautiful things too, that I've experienced through navigating this gift of mine, and being able to tap into different dimensional energies. It's been a beautiful process for me, even now, as I'm like going through another transition and shift within my life, And I'm gotten to this place where more of my gifts are not only like being activated, but being very much embodied in them, because it's like they were already activated, but I just wasn't like fully owning them or being embodied in them. So there's a lot of things that I even had to go through in order to get to a space of embodiment, into a space of integration where I'm completely owning my power and owning who I am. Like today I could say these things proudly and own my gifts and say who I am. Like I could say that I'm a seer. I could say that I'm a spiritual master. I could say that I'm an oracle. I could say that I'm a shaman. You know, I could say that I am a cultivator. I could say that I am a creative, that I am a writer, you know, that I am a painter. I could say these things, you know, with a certain level of knowing that I didn't have years ago or months ago. And that was because also too I had to leave a lot of things behind that was not allowing me to not only recognize the fullness of myself, but not allowing me to live within them, live within it, live within that energy and embody that energy. You know, even like relationships that I've had to leave behind because of poor dynamics of and energies that was like that can pull on your frequency, that or tether you to something that you're not. So this particular shift I'm going through right now, um it's it's different. It's not like anything that I've experienced, but it's so beautiful because I feel like it's been it's been a long time coming. Like it's been a long time coming, and I'm so grateful. Um, and it's this shift of being embodied and integrated in a timeline that is on the time, you know, being integrated on a 5D crystalline and beyond timeline, no longer being within, which I'm going to do another video about that, about shifting timelines and the whole process of that, and being really and settling into that timeline and really being embodied and integrated within it. You know, I want to do a whole video or version speaking on that soon. Um, and just being done with the 3D matrix timeline is such a beautiful, beautiful thing, you know. And I want it for everybody. I really do. I really do. And yes, but the whole process I'm talking about within this video is about, I really made this video because for others that may be tapped in or already like experiencing their own gifts, or you know, their gifts are starting to come online or whatnot, I wanted to make this video because I felt compelled to, like, my spirit has been compelling me to like start speaking about my own story and how I got to this process of where I am now. And I can't, it's a lot. My story is long, you know, and I can't get it all within the video. But yeah, for the sake of time, this is really just for those that I feel are coming online, and there's so many processes and things that you may have to undergo, or that you are already undergoing, or that you've already undergone, you know, and you understand the process and what it takes to really get to a space within yourself where you are embodying who you are within in totality, and you understand the energetic sacrifices that it takes, and you understand the energetic releasing and cleansing and clearing that it takes to, you know, get to the fullness of who you really are, you know. And so yeah, I just wanted to share this video. Whatever it does for anyone, it does for you. But this is just a little tidbit of my story and how, I've been navigating since a child with my own gifts. And so, yes, I'm in a space now where I am like I'm much more present. I would say that I'm much more present with my gifts and I'm more rooted in them, which I'm very much grateful for because there was a time where I wasn't. There was a time where I was suppressing it or I was forsaking myself for the sake of others, like just going around in this particular loop of energy and being miserable because I wasn't embodying the fullness of who I am. And then being afraid to embody the fullness of who you are because you're worried about whether someone's going to judge you or what they're going to think. And then you have people in your life that don't fully accept you and things of that nature. And it's like, you have to be willing to make these sacrifices to cut these energies loose out of your life or to clear these feelings or these, to cleanse and clear what no longer serves, what no longer aligns. You have to be willing to, it might be a sacrifice to some and it might not be a sacrifice to others, but you have to be willing to take that leap of faith and make that change to really cut those cords and, to live, go on your path because there are people out there that are for you. There are a tribe of people out there that will resonate with you, that will get you, that will honor you, that will appreciate you, that will stand by you, that won't, you won't have to dim yourself to make them feel comfortable. You know what I mean? You won't have to play the toxic 3D games that if you don't want to play those games no more, people that will allow you to be the fullness of who you are and accept you for who you are. And it's like in order to get to that freeing energy or get to that state, you have to be willing to let go of that which does not serve. And there's many times in my life where I feel like my spiritual team and just my path in general tried to show me the true nature of things that was going on in my life or people that were in my life. And for whatever reasons, I chose to not see it for what it was worth. I chose to try to look the other way or try to still keep certain people in my life, or give them the benefit of the doubt. And, it's like it keeps you in a cycle of a certain dynamic of energy that will not allow you to really access the fullness or the greatness of who you are. And so that's why it's necessary to be honest with yourself, to really sit and be honest with yourself, because there may be aspects of you, like for me, I had to face whether or not there was insecurities or things that were in me that was holding on to, that was allowing me to keep things in my life that wasn't serving me. You know what I mean? I had to confront those particular energies, whether it was insecurities or whatever it was, So I feel like that's something that all beings, if you are trying to elevate and you are trying to expand and you are trying to reach higher heights within yourself, you have to be willing to not only face yourself, but you have to be willing to sever those ties. You have to be willing to release and let go. And it's not anything that is like to put any blame on anyone or, or to any resentments or anything like that. It's just really like loving on yourself and choosing yourself and knowing your own worth, and just choosing you, and it's like whoever can't get with that or can't understand that, that's on them. That ain't got nothing to do with you. But at the end, you deserve to choose you. So for all those out there that also may have gifts or just things that you are probably not owning within yourself, that you are, maybe you still sleeping on yourself, or you're not fully embodying, or you think or you make other people, you think you make other people uncomfortable or something like that. So you're just trying to dim aspects of yourself. For all of those that are going through that, choose you. It's so much beautiful on the other side when you choose to embody all that you came with. It's a reason why you have those gifts. If you're coming online, there's a reason why you're coming online. There's a reason why you're coming online. Like, just choose to embrace it. Choose to go with the flow. Choose to release when it's time to release. Choose to let go when it's time to let go. You know what I mean? Like, it's no point in holding on to energies that don't serve you, that don't serve your highest good, that are going to hinder you or keep you from accessing the fullness or the greatness of who you are. Especially if you have a calling and it's something that you're meant to do, or even that you just want to do, that you want to experience. So own who you are unapologetically, be who you are unapologetically, and release what needs to be released. Don't be naive out here and still holding on to things that are keeping you stagnant and not allowing you to expand and grow. Expansion is what we are here for. Expansion is the most beautiful thing. It's what your spirit yearns for. It is what your spirit came for. So continue to expand, love on yourself unapologetically. F all those who can't get with it, and that's that.